I am so excited to talk about one of my favorite and most frustrating topics that I have dealt with as a human being, dental insurance, secrets to getting paid faster, from mastering submissions to winning appeals, with Ashley Bond from Wisdom, an amazing sponsor who, I will say, Ashley, you put the fun in dental insurance, and that's not easy to do. I say you put the fun in dental insurance, and we're going to turn this over to you in just a minute, but I want to share a couple things here. Whether you are in network with 47 Spoiled Guac PPOs, or you are so fee for service, your patients pay a year ahead of time, you will need to answer the what does my insurance cover? Do you take my dental insurance? How does my dental insurance work? I put together a 7-minute video that my team uses, and you can use as a free training tool. All you need to do is text words to 215-543-6454. I always say, Ashley, the words that you say influence the success of your day inside your dental office and with your children at home, right? It's all about the words that you say. So I want to introduce you and just tell us for a minute, the origins of Wisdom, what you guys do to help dentists survive, thrive, and not cry. We're so thrilled to have you here. If people want to learn more about your awesomeness, they can text Wisdom to 215-543-6454. But just tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Ashley Bond, and I got started in my dad's dental practice. So it was a happy accident where he told me I was going to work for him, and I didn't have a choice. But what I did is I dove right in, and insurance aging really appealed to me, the competition of it. So we are very excited that through my father's practice and seeing the pain points that he went through, we're able to establish our company Wisdom. So where we help dentists with their outsourcing of dental billing, patient billing, and insurance verification.
And what I'll share is I am a medium-aged dentist, and this really didn't exist when I was a new practice owner. You had to embrace all of your annoyance. And even we just take a minute, I say outsource your annoyance so you can spend more time with the patient. Even if you just talk about something that's so fundamental to you, Ashley, but maybe new to somebody watching in, like my amazing office manager during the pandemic. I don't know if you remember the pandemic, but I basically cried inside and outside every day. I said to my amazing office manager who's watching in, I said, Kate, let's outsource our insurance
Mm.
billing because people have quit.
Yeah.
We had temperature check bouncers in the front of our office. To get inside of our office, you got to get your temperature checked. Okay. So I said, Kate, why don't we just like outsource this, right? I've heard about it. Why don't we outsource this? And Kate said, no, Paul, I think I can do it. And I said,
Mm.
Kate, I'm literally trying to take some annoying thing off your plate. But I don't know if you've met office managers. They're very, very special. They're very, very unique. And she said, well, Paul, I can do it. I said, Kate, let's try it for 90 days. I have a test, not guess. And if at the end of 90 days, you don't want to outsource your insurance billing anymore, we don't have to. So that was, I think, 2021, Ashley. It's now 2024. And
Still doing it.
I said, what do you think of that? She goes, that was the best decision
Mm.
you've ever made for me.
Yeah.
So I hope you use these webinars to make better decisions, to think
Mm.
outside of your box, because we were doing it one way for years. And I wish we did this way earlier. So I'm going to let you share your screen,
Mm.
Ashley, and I'm so excited to learn from you. I'll let you heads up. This is an awesome, we have people streaming into the Zoom. You may be here live. You can ask questions in the chat. We'll also be able to get you the recording of this as well. So that looks awesome, Ashley. I can see that. I'm
All
going to
right,
drop back. If you need
perfect.
me, I'll be back here. Thanks for
Sounds
being here.
great. Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I'm here to talk to you about secrets to getting paid faster. So we all want to get paid for what we do. So let's get right into it. So I described a little bit of my background, but here's my father and I. So my name is Ashley Bond, and this is where I started in my father's practice. He practiced for over 37 years in dentistry, and I accidentally ended up working for him. But seeing the pain points that he went through is what started us in creating this company so that other dental practices, other practice owners don't have to go through the same stress, the same administrative burden that you talked about, Paul. And if I can help one dentist stress less, collect more, and get paid faster, then I have done my job well. So let's dive right into it on how to get paid faster. So, why are we here? Well, we know the pain is real. What I hear from dentists every single day are these three pain points: staffing shortages, they have high AR or low revenue, or the administrative burden. So even if you have the best team on your side, which a lot of you do, it is an administrative burden to keep on track with all the changes that are in the dental insurance industry. So I know you guys have hopefully seen our shirts where dental insurance sucks. It does, but it doesn't have to. And you now have the ability to outsource that pain to a company that you can trust. What I'm going to go through today is very tactical. So I love leaving webinars with actual action items. So it is going to be a step-by-step process. So please take out your phones, take pictures, share these slides with your team. And if you have any additional questions, I will have my contact information at the end, as well as some free resources. But what we're going to discuss today is crafting the perfect claim, how we can overcome rejections, denials, appeals, identifying and avoiding the common reasons for claim rejections, effective communication with insurance companies, and the documentation required for successful appeals. But to know where we're going, we have to know where we're starting. So we need to get your starting point. By the end of this week, this is my homework I'm assigning. By the end of this week, I would love for you to know this number if you do not know it already. That is your collection percentage. So to get this, you're going to take your last 3 months of total collections and you're going to divide that by your last 3 months of net production. This will be gross production after your adjustments. Times that by 100, that is your collection percentage. Let's see where your starting point is. And just know our goal is to have it to be at least 98% or more. Once you have your starting point, I highly recommend at least every month running this collection percentage number. So now we know where we're starting. So now let's talk through the steps to get to that 98%. And before we get into this, I want you to watch this quick video.
I think they're a little, I think they're am I supposed to taste of salt? Why does it taste of salt? I sprinkled them with salt, not sugar. Oh no, I sprinkled them with salt, not sugar. Oh, that's amazing. You didn't. I did. I promise you, it tastes of salt. Oh my God, no. It's salty and sweet. It's good. But let's just check one second out. Oh no. The Sport Relief Weekend is fast approaching.
So if you weren't able to hear all of that, yes, she used salt instead of sugar for the cooking competition. And what you didn't see is that the dessert was inedible, and the judges actually spit out the salty treat during the judging. And this is the image I want you to picture when you are sending off your claims. This is so crucial to your office's success, and I can confidently say that this is the #1 reason why you are not getting paid faster. So please, please do not overlook this. And if you think Gordon Ramsay is bad, you have not met most insurance companies. They are brutal and they need the correct information each time. So just don't make the rookie mistake. Check your work. Make sure the right attachments are connected to the right claims, because you might have a beautiful crown or a beautiful buildup. But if you're sending in the wrong ingredient, the wrong attachment, your beautiful claims will be inedible, or in other words, denied. So this is where I wanted you to take out your phones if you have them. What is the recipe? The good thing is the recipe doesn't change. So you can take a photo of these next 2 slides, but when you're creating a claim, you're building this recipe each time, and it's for every procedure code will always stay the same no matter the insurance company. What I want you to do is make it a habit to pause, make sure you have the ingredients for your claims before you send it off. If you send the wrong attachment or don't have the attachment that's going to be required, that is where we see a lot of these denials. An expert tip is not to trust the insurance or clearinghouse flags. So when you're electronically submitting claims, you will get that flag to add an attachment. I don't want you to just go off that. What our team does is we go procedure code by procedure code and not just trust the flags that are being told to us. That way we know without a shadow of a doubt that our claims have the attachments needed before they go out. What I see on my end is there's a lot of times where the flags will have root canals sneak through, extractions, guards will sneak through. I mean, even with occlusal guards, you're going to want to have, is it for bruxism in the remarks? You're going to have upper or is it lower? So just be very careful not to trust those clearinghouse flags. Here is the second part of the attachment cheat sheet. And what I want you to do also is cross-train your team. This is not just a front office duty to know the rules of insurance submission and compliance. It really is a team effort. So for our dental assistants, are we checking that we have all these ingredients even before the patient's coming in and sitting in our chair? Do we have the intraoral photos? Do we have the x-rays we need? Are they of diagnostic quality? Hygienists, are we paying attention to those patients who do have unscheduled treatment, making sure we have updated x-rays, updated photos? So that's one less thing the dental assistant or doctor would have to do. And then doctors, when was the last time that we reviewed our documentation templates across the team? This is going to be our clinical note templates. And then my front office team members, are we discussing these denials and rejections with our team so they understand and know what we're seeing on the front end? So here is my snippet about documentation. Long gone are those days of the stock narrative. I don't know about any of you guys, but back in the day, you had a Word document, or maybe it was even written down in a notepad, that every crown got the same narrative. That is not how we can do it anymore. The notes on your claims, they must be in your clinical notes. Documentation, I really feel, is one of the missing arts in dentistry. And as a billing company owner, this is why we see a lot of these denials from insurance companies. So I want you to create your templates in your software. And again, it's the same recipe for every specific procedure code. Don't rush or look past this crucial piece of clinical notes, and always be audit ready. Have a champion in your office that reviews documentation and chart notes. That is just that extra checks and balances to make sure we're doing all that we need to do to not only be compliant, but also get paid faster. And if you don't know where to start, it's always a good place to start with SOAP notes. So it is more than for clean hands. It ensures that we have clean claims. So SOAP notes is highly recommended that you use these questions as your foundation to what your clinical notes could be. So SOAP stands for the subjective. What is the patient's chief complaint? What did the patient tell you? Objective. What do the doctor and clinical team see during the exam? Your assessment. What does the doctor recommend based on the S and O or the diagnosis? And then your plan. What is the treatment plan for the patient? And here's the sad thing. Most of us know that dental insurance sucks. You know, it's on our t-shirt, and I stand by. Dental insurance does not make it easy to get paid fairly or quickly. However, I do know that insurance is not always a bad guy. Independent research has shown us that the majority of claims that are denied, they're not due to the consultant not finding it medically necessary. Instead, it's actually due to administrative reasons. So this is where the recipe wasn't followed, there's missing documentation, incorrect demographics, missing required attachments, initial placement dates. This is a big reason why we're not getting paid faster. All right, so let's overcome these rejection, denials, and appeals. First, I want to separate what is the difference between a rejection versus a denial. So I'm going to shift my analogy from food, which is my favorite thing to talk about, to flying, which is my least favorite thing to do. Rejections, I want you to think of those as claims that never make it to the insurance company. They're stuck on the runway. The number one reason why they never even make it to the insurance company is because of incorrect demographics. I want you to visualize the garbage in, garbage out when it comes to your practice management software. If the details about the patients and insurance is not correct, your claim is going to be stuck on that runway. And I want to know, are you checking your rejections at least a weekly basis, if not every single day? Do you know where to find your rejections? Depending on the tool you use will depend on where your rejections are. I want you to check those clearinghouses. If you have Vine as a third party, they have a rejection section. Dental Exchange also has a section for rejections. There's Dentrix eClaims. They have an insurance manager. Do you have the login? Do you log into that insurance manager? These are things I would love for you to start talking about with your team. And if you don't know how to find your rejections, highly recommend call your clearinghouse, because you could be missing those claims that are sitting there that when you call that insurance company, they're going to tell you they're not on file, and it's actually going to be not on file. So here are the two pieces that it seems so simple, but this is the number one reason why we see the rejections. It's the patient information and it's the insurance information. This is as little as the correct patient name, address, social, ID number, date of birth. For the insurance company, making sure you get the full details on what is their claims address number, what is the right group number. This is, again, so simple, but makes such a big impact on your revenue cycle management if this isn't done on the front end. It's all in these small details. Some tips you can do is I highly recommend getting a copy of driver's license from your patients front and back, and also get a copy of their insurance card front and back at least 2 days before their appointment, so you can verify their eligibility before they're sitting in your chair telling you that their insurance just changed. There are a lot of patient communication resources out there where you don't have to physically pick up the phone. You could shoot a text to your patients. Especially with the new year approaching, I recommend that now we start thinking about reaching out to our patients. Since enrollment has closed, we want to get those new benefit details as soon as possible so we're not having a lot of rejections at the new year. And this is one of my favorite little tricks to do, and it is resubmission through electronic fax. There are going to be some claims that no matter how hard you try to get them through electronically, they will not go through. They will sit there rejected. We have a cheat sheet at the end of this that's free to all members that has the list of insurance company fax numbers. What I highly recommend is if you get a claim that's stuck in the rejection status, don't snail mail it. There's no proof that you actually mailed it out. Use electronic fax as a backup. And I'm not talking about needing to have a physical fax machine still in your office, although my dad had one in his office up until he retired. But there are a lot of HIPAA compliant online fax services for a very reasonable price. And what you can do is you can easily, even if there's x-rays attached, you pull up from your clearinghouse at claim, you find the NEA number, you copy it, you paste it in the remarks section, you can print it as a PDF, fax it over, update the claim status notes on where you faxed it to what number, when, and then that rejection can be hidden because you know you've taken care of it. Now let's talk about these common denials that we're seeing. So I want you to think in our airplane analogy, denied claims are ones that are stuck in the air. They're just circling around, but they're running out of fuel. We don't want to delay in addressing our denied claims. And even better, if we can prevent denials on the front end, that is always going to be the best case scenario. I'm going to talk through, though, the common denials, especially recently, that we have seen. Granted, insurance changes all the time, but right now, this is where we're seeing a lot of the denials. Number one, I don't know if you guys are feeling this in your office, but scaling and route planning. It's a very common denial now. So you have to show the evidence of bone loss. So making sure that your hygiene team is checking for a recent FMS x-ray, the full mouth series of x-ray. We want to be able to pinpoint and present the bone loss that is on these x-ray images. And the FMS is the best diagnostic tool for bone loss. Full periodontal charting. We need to make sure we have the full pocket depth, bleeding points, bone loss, everything on the periodontal charting has to be filled out, and then documentation. So now some insurance companies are asking for staging and grading. If this is not in your current template, I highly, highly recommend. We have a free resource about staging and grading if you need just some advice on how to get started and how to implement that in your hygiene team. Please reach out, but staging and grading is crucial. There are also some denials now that are coming back. They're asking for appointment length, start time, end time, what anesthesia was used. So again, the front and the hygiene team need to work together so they can discuss what denials are coming in, what do we need to add to our documentation to prevent these on the front end. I want you to take out your camera as well, because here's a photo of an example of what a clinical template could be for scaling and root planing. So you'll see that, again, we have the staging, the grading. We try to use our SOAP notes. So if you don't currently have a template for scaling and root planing, please take a photo and utilize this in your practice. Next is extractions. So more denials coming from extractions. My number one recommendation is just to check your x-rays, making sure there's no cone cuts, open contacts, the PA is getting below the root, the bite wing is getting the entire crown. The shocking thing, and what I've heard more and more, is when we are submitting x-rays to insurance companies that are not of diagnostic quality, that can actually lead to an audit. So if we are charging patients for x-rays and they're not of diagnostic quality, then we're using those x-rays to submit to the insurance company. They can look at that and come back and ask to audit your office. So it is very important that not only are we taking diagnostic x-rays, but then when we're submitting, we are submitting the right x-rays, which also includes labeling our x-rays with the tooth numbers. Buildups and crowns. I know everybody is dealing with crown and buildup denials. So here are my tips to tackle this. Number one, if you are getting a denied buildup, and especially if they're saying it's inclusive to the crown, do not just write that off and post that payment. Split the claim in your practice management software. If it's Cigna, you call and give them the seat date. Even if it's another insurance company, you need to appeal that if there is proof the buildup was necessary. So what proof are they looking for? Well, in our clinical notes, we want to know how much of tooth structure was compromised. Was it over 50%, 60%? Is there fractured, missing cusps? Those details, they need to be supported in your clinical notes. And for crowns, make sure that there is a prompt in your template asking about initial placement date. It will get stopped when they see that x-ray of the crown that was previously on the tooth and you're replacing it. They're going to ask every time for that initial date. Have it regular in your routine to ask the question to the patient. Does not mean they need to know the exact date. You can ask the patient, is it over 10 years old? Is it over 5 years old? It's okay if you don't have the date, but put what the patient tells you into your notes. And assistants, I urge you to stop your doctors during prep. So my father in his practice used Dental Dam. And when he was doing his crown work, his main goal was to get the Dental Dam off the patient as fast as possible because he knew it wasn't comfortable. However, that could turn into, he's prepping the tooth and he would forget to take that intraoral photo in the middle of the procedure. So this is where the assistants, I really want to empower you to help your doctor stop when it needs to be stopped. Take a photo after you're done after you're done getting rid of the decay. Take a photo, then you can finish the prep on the tooth. And another expert tip is, I'm sure a lot of you have heard that Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Yet we do this in the practice all the time. So what I want you to start doing is tracking your denials that are coming in. Is there a pattern? Is it insurance specific? Is it code specific? Is it provider specific? These are things you should be reviewing as a team because, again, just the front office isn't the only change agent here. It is a whole team coming together to see these patterns so we can fix it at the front end and not always be dealing with a lot of denials. If your claim is asking for more information, that goes from you getting paid under 30 days to delaying it to 60. We've seen 90, 120 days. So figuring out the issue at the front end will help you in the long run. And one more tip alert. I firmly believe that the greatest tool that you have in your office to collect 100% is your intraoral camera. I remember when these used to be so expensive. We only had one in the whole office. Nowadays, they can be affordable. You can have one in every operatory, but I'm going to tell you why I think this is the greatest tool. 3 reasons. First, case acceptance. I'm a very visual person. I need to see why the treatment needs to be done, and an x-ray for someone that's not clinical, an x-ray doesn't show me like a photo does. So this will help bring your patients to yes. 2, for marketing. So if you are able to get before and after photos, just as part of your process to sell the patient on the treatment that's needed for them, but then you can display before and afters with patient consent on your website, on your social media. But then 3rd, and my favorite reason, insurance denials. So taking that extra second to check your x-rays to snap that photo is so important when it comes to combating insurance denials. It's harder to fight against the more documentation that you have. And now let's talk about talking with our favorite people. Effective communication with insurance companies. So again, take a photo, use this for your team, but there are key things that I want you to focus on. Number 1, make sure you're running your aging report, your insurance aging report every single week. You want to strategize and review it as a team on a monthly basis, but whoever is accountable to this every single week, at least, we should be running our reports. I really want you to designate one person as the responsible party. This doesn't mean that no one else can help, but what I have seen is when you have multiple people accountable to things, nobody's accountable to it. So if there is one person in your office that they know it is their job to be accountable to our insurance aging numbers, I promise you, you'll be more successful. And then we just need to follow up on these claims. Every 30 plus claim, 14 to 21 days until it pays. You want to update your claim status notes, and every single week, track your insurance aging numbers. I like to track it myself because, as you know, a lot of practice management softwares, you can't go back and run a report to see where your insurance aging was, 6 months ago. I like to see week over week, how is the trend going? And I'll show you what that looks like. So this is just an example of a piece of the data that we track for our offices on a weekly basis. What I'm looking for here is what is our each bucket. What's our current bucket? 31 to 60, 61 to 90, and then our over 90. What percentage is in each bucket? I want our over 90 to percentage to be 5% or lower, ideally 0. But if it is above that, I want to know why. And when was the last time that we reviewed our reports together as a team? So effective calling. I don't know if anyone that calls insurance companies will understand why there's a chicken or a hen on this screen, but calling an insurance company isn't for the weak. Here are some tips to make it a little easier. I want you to call by insurance plan. So if you're calling on one claim, call on everybody that they'll let you call. I know sometimes they say, I can only give you 5 answers, but try to push it. See how many claims you can get the status on. Before calling, and this is such a crucial tip, check your clearinghouse for rejections. The last thing I want to see you doing is you're waiting on hold for an hour, you get through, They tell you it's not on file and you check your clearinghouse and it was sitting there rejected. Save your time. Don't sit on hold if there is a claim that is, again, it's still on that runway, never made it to the insurance company. So check your clearinghouse first. Set up your portals. If you don't have your portal set up, again, this is so crucial to help make calling insurance companies more efficient. When you're on hold, because you will be on hold, you can check online for claim statuses. So you can go through the other patients on the report and try to get their updated status while you're sitting on hold. And you could just multitask while on hold. Use that time though. You can send statements while you're on hold. You can do patient letters. So don't be imprisoned to that phone, but use that for other activities that you can do that doesn't require you be on the phone with somebody else. And documentation. It is everything, especially being effective with our calling to insurance companies. You need to document in your claim status notes all of the details. What were the payment details? Or what is the reason why? What is the status of this claim? Has it been received? Is it not on file? Is it denied? What are the reasons for the delays? Always get the representative name, always get a reference number, and always, always date your claim status notes. Here is an example of what that would look like in your practice management software. Your insurance agent report should have, for most practice management softwares, it should be printed on your report when you run it. So if you're reviewing it with your doctor or office manager and you're running the report, you should see the last contact that was done, what was said, who they talked to, how long has it been since we followed up. So with Dentrix, you're going to make sure to check the box that says the print claim status notes. If you're Eaglesoft, if you're using the correct notes for claims, it will automatically pull the last notes on your agent report. Open Dental, this is when we need to be using our custom status tracking and knowing how to operate that, how to run your Open Dental reports. And there, if you see the 01010001, that means there's no status update. So it's understanding your practice management software and knowing as a doctor or office manager, what is the status on all these claims, at least every single month. But I will also tell you, as someone who was calling on insurance claims, if I didn't have notes for myself, I would not have been as successful as I was. You have to be able to look back and, fight nicely with the insurance company and say, no, I spoke to Sarah, reference number this, and she told me to fax the claim here. It is crazy how many claims or attachments are magically found once you have evidence of your submission, whether it's with your detailed notes, it's with your NEA numbers, but this is why it's so, so important. Now let's talk about our favorite thing to do in our spare time. All the spare time we have in the office is to write appeals. So again, there's a lot of information I'm going to show you. So please take out your phones. But when it comes to appeals, what is so important is that you are working these at minimum every single week. I don't know about a lot of you, but when on Mondays was our big posting day. So I'd almost have to lock myself away to post payments so I'd hopefully balance at the end of the day. And then I would get all these denials and appeals that I would, put to the side, but that stack would just keep growing and growing. If you don't address them right away, it will turn out to be like my laundry. When it gets so overwhelming, it just doesn't get done. So work it at minimum every single week. So when you're posting, you're going to set aside those denied EOBs, those info requesting more information. You're going to look for the appeals address on those denied EOBs. Part of our appeal submission is going to be to include also the denied EOB with our appeals, but they'll typically put the appeals address. And please note, for a lot of insurance companies, the appeals address is not the normal address. So if you're submitting your appeals to the address you have on file, there's a lot of the times it's not even going to be received. I'm a big proponent of checklists in the office. So I had my own checklist that, every week I was making sure, did our statements get out? Did we do our confirmation? Did we work the insurance aging, the patient aging, the statements? But part of that would be, did we submit our appeals? And then again, just updating those claim status notes. So if you send an appeal, making sure that's in your claim status notes. What I don't want you to do is put in a claim status note what you will do in the future. Not, I will send an appeal. Because what's going to happen is you're going to look back and then you're going to second guess, did I send that appeal or not? Only put in the actions that you took. Upload that appeal in the patient's document center, just in case they said, we didn't get that appeal. You don't have to go through all of it again. And then have templates ready to go without the patient info, but at least just a base, a starting point. Or what I'll show you in a few slides is how you can use ChatGPT as a really easy tool to write quick appeals. And then, of course, fill in what is needed with all the pertaining patient information, the x-rays, the clinical notes, the photos. I would circle that decay, that fracture, use a highlighter, make it obvious to the reviewing dentist so that, you know, they have less of a chance to come back and say no. Give them everything. And this too is why in the beginning, having the documentation is so important. So here's what I want you to follow through and do when you come across a claim that's been denied. First, I want you to call and ask the insurance company what the reviewing dentist noted as the complete denial reason. If you get a representative that knows what they're talking about and is nice, they can give you a lot of good details on why that was denied so you know how to counteract that denial. What did they need to see that they didn't see? I also recommend requesting the highest level supervisor. Insurance companies, just like dental offices, have staffing shortages. So if you get through to a representative and they aren't giving, you don't feel like they are trained well enough in what you're asking for, it is okay to ask for the highest level supervisor. I do that a lot, especially if I'm calling on more than once for an age claim or if I'm calling on an appeal. And then have the doctor provide the additional documentation based on the information that you got. I always like to ask for the license number and name of the reviewing dentist as well. And if your next appeal is denied, you can always request a peer-to-peer. This is where you would schedule a call between their doctor and your doctor. I also like to ask for the license number of that reviewing dentist as well during that conversation. And then worst case, get the patient involved. Even get the HR department involved. The patient is the one paying for the plan. If you're getting nowhere with insurance companies, I always like to try it first because I'm competitive. I want to win. But getting your patients involved, they can make one phone call and they can make the process speed up even faster. So now I want you to look at how we can use ChatGPT in action for our appeals.
Let's take a look at how we could use appeals in our office. So I have created my own GPT called the Wisdom Appeal Assistant. And so what I'm going to do is I already have prompts ready for mine. So all I have to do is say, help me with an appeal. I will go back and show you what prompt this is, but this is an open link to this ChatGPT that I'd be happy to share with you as well. So here are the prompts that I have. So if you do not want to use the GPT, which is the paid version, you could just put in this information to ChatGPT and tell it you wanted to write an appeal for you. So the three prompts are, what was the CDE code that was performed? So we're just going to use 2740. We're going to put the clinical notes as something like mesial distal decay with fractured lingual cusp. And we're going to put the initial denial, denied due to necessity. So that is all I'm going to give it, and we're going to see what it gives me out. So it's going to say, this is how they're framing it. And then here is the draft appeal. And you'll see I do not add any patient specific information. There's no PHI that I'm ever putting into ChatGPT. And then you'll see here the supporting evidence, request for consideration. And so what I could do simply here is copy the draft that they gave me, paste it, and tweak it for our needs. And then you can also tell ChatGPT, maybe this is the second appeal. Please be more firm and ask for a peer-to-peer at the end and the license number of the reviewing dentist. And it will clarify that it's a second appeal and it's going to give us a more assertive tone. So if this was something that I wanted to then use instead, again, I would just copy this and I would paste it into my Word document so I can send it off to the insurance company. And you'll see all of this, final request. And again, I would copy, paste it in, and now I don't have to sit and overthink what to put in my appeal.
Now, I do want to be clear. While I use ChatGPT for everything, I have named mine Max at this point because I use him all the time. But don't just copy and paste without reviewing it. So as we know, ChatGPT is a tool, but it will make mistakes. So make sure if you're going to use ChatGPT, you use it to just spark a starting point, but you're going through and reviewing it. You don't want to sound like a robot. You can prompt ChatGPT and say, don't sound like a robot, because you don't want insurance companies to get the feeling that it is ChatGPT. So use the tool, but also be smart with the tool. My father taught me this: the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And that cannot be more true when it comes to dealing with insurance companies. And just know that even if you're dealing with rejections and denials, you can get the grease. You have to stay on top of them. And you have to have a whole team that is on board so that you can get paid faster. One person can't make the change in the office. It has to be the whole team. So what are our key takeaways? First, what is your collection percentage? If it's under 98%, please reach out to me. I will do a free practice analysis for you. We'll find those missing dollars. I will help support, give you resources. 2, do not trust the attachment flags. Claim submission is the most vital part of being paid faster. Just remember, it's the same recipe every time. Track your insurance aging numbers weekly. Review the claim status notes as a team every single month. Track your denial and rejection reasons. Again, monthly. We are collaborating and reviewing them as a team. And then what I want you to do is review your clinical note templates today. See what is in there, see how we can make them better, and come up with that plan on who is going to do it in the office, who's accountable to it, and by when is it going to get done. And just know you are not at this alone. So to learn more about us and how we take away these pain points for our offices, please connect with us today. I don't want any other doctor to go through what my father went through owning a practice. So we are here to help take the administrative burden off of your team's plate so you can focus on your patients. So I know I talked about freebies, so here they are. First freebie, we have a free ebook download. This is going to have our dental billing cheat sheets, those fax numbers that I talked about. It's going to have the SOAP notes. It's going to have your attachment cheat sheets. So a lot of the information I talked about today, plus the insurance fax numbers for a lot of the insurance companies, are going to be in this free ebook. So take a picture of this slide, use this QR code, and you can get that free ebook. And then also, if you want to know more about Wisdom and you want a really cool t-shirt that says Dental Insurance Sucks, reach out to us. Use this QR code, and you can use both QR codes. But if you just want to learn more about what we're all about, learn more about how we can support you and what your office is going through right now, or we'd be happy to offer you a free practice analysis for your office. Use this QR code, fill out the form, schedule a call with us directly, or please reach out to me. Here's my email, ashley@withwisdom.com. If you have any questions or need any help, I am here to support you. So thank you so much for having me today. And I hope after today, we're going to get you paid a lot faster.